What's waggin' dog lovers? It's Zach from the Pampered Pup. I wanted to put together a comparison of Nom Nom and PetPlate's fresh dog foods, so we can see how they stack up in terms of quality, convenience to the pet owner, and of course price. When it comes to quality, I'm going to assess how these dog foods look, I'm going to assess how they smell, and I'm going to assess how they taste. And yeah, I'll eat them right here on camera. And in terms of convenience for the pet owner, I'll look at things like managing your subscription, how fast shipping is, and how the food itself is packaged. And when it comes to cost, I've done the calculations to make sure that we're comparing them on a fair basis, because dollars per week is not necessarily the right way to look at it. PetPlate is a huge name in the world of fresh dog food thanks to their appearance on Shark Tank. And while Nom Nom's been around for a while and gained some notoriety, a lot of pet parents may not have heard of them. And that's really a shame, because if you're looking for a quick answer, then between PetPlate and Nom Nom, I'd say without a doubt, Nom Nom's the better choice for your pup. And we'll get into why in just a bit. And if you don't mind spending a little bit more money, you might want to check out the Farmer's Dog. I'll leave a link to my review right here. Their food's pretty good too. It is a bit more expensive, but something to consider. In any case, if you do choose Nom Nom or PetPlate for your pup, make sure to use my links in the description of this video to get any discount that I'm currently aware of. So now let's dive into the meat and potatoes of this comparison and see how these dog foods stack up in terms of quality. The first thing I evaluate when evaluating a fresh dog food's quality is its appearance. Simply, how does it look? Does it look like something I'd want to eat? So let's take a look at the chicken recipes from Nom Nom and from PetPlate here. On your right, I have Nom Nom's chicken cuisine, and on your left, I have PetPlate's chompin' chicken. What is really striking to me at first is that Nom Nom's recipes are comprised entirely of large chunks of the ingredient. You can see sweet potatoes, large chunks of the chicken tissue. I believe there's probably some summer squash in there. I'm not entirely sure what that one is. I'd have to look at the ingredients. Whereas on the other hand, with PetPlate, you do have nice chunks of the ingredients, especially the green beans look pretty nice, I would say. And there's whole lentils in there, red lentils. Those look appetizing for sure. But the meat itself looks a bit like a paste. It looks a bit mushy. You know, if I were to remove all those nice large chunks of ingredients in there, it would definitely look like dog food. And generally, the overall color of it is a bit on the sort of drab side, a little bit dull. Well, this is definitely not the worst looking fresh dog food I've seen. I have seen better ones for sure. So I would say of these two, of the chicken recipes, Nom Nom definitely takes the upper hand. So let's continue on to the beef recipes here. So on your right, I have Nom Nom's beef mash recipe, and on your left, I have the barkin' beef from PetPlate. And right away, it's the same story here. You can see really nice large chunks of all the ingredients in Nom Nom's recipes. That's basically all there is, chunks of the ingredients. There's chunks of the ground beef, chunks of carrot, potatoes, green peas, egg, everything. It's all there. And on the other hand, with PetPlate, this one looks even more so like what I was describing with the chompin' chicken recipe. This barkin' beef here, while there are nice chunks of potatoes and whole green peas, the rest is kind of looks a bit like a mush, you know? It looks just a bit unappetizing. And frankly, it looks a bit like dog food. So in my opinion, hands down, Nom Nom is the better looking dog food. Now let's assess how each of these recipes taste. And we'll start with the chicken cuisine from Nom Nom. Yep, as usual, definitely the really prominent smell here is the sweet potatoes, but generally speaking, it tastes very clean. There's no off-putting flavors there at all, and it's definitely fairly appetizing. For comparison, let's see how PetPlate's chompin' chicken smells. That's definitely strong, and it smells like dog food. And to be honest, I wasn't even sure I was going to try eating it again because that's what it tastes like too. But I will try it again for the purposes of this video. It just doesn't really smell appetizing like most of the fresh dog foods do. I don't really know what more to say about that other than I'm not looking forward to trying it in a second here. And now I'll smell Nom Nom's beef mash. It smells clean, it smells like ground beef. Definitely not off-putting in any way. Definitely happy to give this a try in just a moment here. Last but not least, let's give the barkin' beef from PetPlate a smell here. That one smells a little bit better than the chompin' chicken. You can definitely smell the beef, you can smell the peas. That one smells fairly appetizing. The barkin' beef smells fairly appetizing. And it's hard to say. These both smell good, and I think for the sake of not being too rough on PetPlate, I'll award them the point here. So that leaves us with a tie in terms of how these recipes smell. All right, now for my favorite part, how do these recipes taste? I'll start with Nom Nom's chicken cuisine. And as always with Nom Nom, that tastes really clean. The sweet potatoes really adds a nice sweetness to the recipe, and the textures are just phenomenal. That's really one of Nom Nom's biggest advantages when it comes to all the fresh dog foods. There's not much that really compares with the textures that you get with Nom Nom's recipes. So for comparison, let's try the chompin' chicken from PetPlate. So the flavors there are definitely strong, as I remembered from last time. Though it's not the worst tasting fresh dog food I've had, there are many others out there that just taste a little bit better than PetPlate. Tastes a lot better than PetPlate, to be frank. What PetPlate does have going for it is, along the lines of Nom Nom, the textures of those large chunks of ingredients are really nice. So they kind of make up for the kind of strong, off-putting, heavy flavors that you get with the PetPlate recipes. And I think if it weren't for those nice large chunks of ingredients, PetPlate would fare a lot worse in the taste department. But between Nom Nom's chicken cuisine and PetPlate's chomping chicken, there's no question that Nom Nom's wins this one. Let's try the beef recipes. And I'll start with the barking beef from Nom Nom here. So as always with Nom Nom, it tastes like beef. The textures are fantastic. The contrast of the tender potato against the ground beef is like a really nice touch here. And between the clean flavor profile and the nice texture, Nom Nom really does an excellent job with their food. Let's compare that to the barking beef from PetPlate here. That one tastes really strong. I had a bit of a hard time stomaching that, but I did. It tastes like dog food. There's no real other way to say it. The textures help PetPlate's recipe more in the case of the chomping chicken than they did in the case of the barking beef. The textures are there. Definitely better than some fresh dog food I've tried, but it's a very strong flavor. Not something I would recommend feeding to your dog. Without a doubt, Nom Nom takes the cake over PetPlate when it comes to the beef recipes, and all of the recipes in general. So if you want to give your dog a great tasting dog food, I'd recommend choosing Nom Nom over PetPlate. So just a bit more on what goes into these recipes before we move along here. Nom Nom offers 4 recipes to choose from, whereas PetPlate does offer 6. So they have a little bit more variety there. Recipes from both companies are formulated by board-certified veterinary nutritionists, and the recipes are nutritionally balanced and complete to meet AAFCO standards. Both of these companies use human-grade ingredients in their recipes, although PetPlate does cook their meals in USDA kitchens, so there might be a little bit more quality assurance there. In terms of nutrition, I always look at the protein content as fed, and they're roughly similar. Nom Nom's recipes are a touch lower at about 7 to 10% protein as fed, whereas PetPlate's are about 8 to 11% protein as fed, which is quite typical for what you see in fresh dog food recipes. Let's talk a little bit about how convenient these companies are for pet owners. Well, first of all, they both require a subscription, as do most fresh dog food companies out there. And in both cases, it couldn't be easier to cancel. You just log into your account dashboard on their website, tell them you want to cancel, answer a few questions as to why, and then you won't get any more shipments, you won't get any more bills. You should be good to go in that regard. No need to pick up the phone and call customer service or anything like that. In terms of shipping speed, both of these were a little bit on the slower side, although definitely not the slowest I've seen with fresh dog food. Nom Nom was a little bit quicker when you look at the business days in transit. I placed my order on a Friday night, and it was scheduled to be there the following Saturday, but due to a mishap on the shipper's end, it didn't actually arrive till the following Monday. So it was 5 business days between placing my order and receiving it on my doorstep. With PetPlate, on the other hand, I placed my order on a Sunday and I received it 2 Tuesdays after that. So that's 6 full business days between placing my order and receiving it on my doorstep. So I would say fairly similar in that regard, and neither one's impressively fast or a standout slow shipper in the world of fresh dog food. Both of these companies do use completely recyclable shipping materials and insulation, so all you have to do once you unpack it is put the box and everything in your recycling bin. There's none of that cellulose insulation that you have to wash down your sink. In terms of how the food itself is packaged, I really like how both of these companies do it. With Nom Nom, my meals were packaged in 400-gram frozen patties, and these were vacuum sealed with an easy pull tab, nice and easy to work with. PetPlate, I thought, also did a great job. They give you plastic tubs. They're the only company I've used that I've seen that with, and those have about 340 grams or 12 ounces in each one. And it's kind of nice because the tubs have, all the nutritional information on the label, and you can see all the ingredients, and it's just a nice touch there for sure. But the main point is that both of the companies give you a smaller amount of dog food to defrost each time. So that means you won't be up against the clock worrying about whether or not your dog's going to finish it before you have to throw it away. And then in terms of serving, all you have to do is pull the food out of the fridge the night before. And once it's been thawed, both of these companies say your dog has a week to eat it. And then of course we're going to talk about cost. And I always evaluate the cost of fresh dog food on a dollars per pound basis to keep things fair. When they tell you the price on a dollars per pound basis, they're not accounting for the fact that different brands calculate your dog's nutritional needs differently. So you get a different amount of food from each brand. So according to my calculations, both PetPlate and Nom Nom come in at about $4 a pound, which is as low as it gets from what I've seen in the world of fresh dog food. So clearly cost isn't that big of a factor. And in my opinion, I think it really comes down to how this dog food tastes. As dog lovers, we want to make sure we're giving our dogs the best food that we can get for them. And if I'm buying a fresh dog food and I wouldn't eat it, I wouldn't want to be giving it to my dog either. If price isn't that big of an issue and you're looking for a nice quality dog food, I'd recommend you check out The Farmer's Dog, and I'll leave that video playing right here. But if you do choose Nom Nom or PetPlate's fresh dog food for your pup, remember to use my links in the description of this video to get the best deal that I currently have access to. Best of luck in finding a delicious fresh dog food for your pup.